Stay Sane with Jane, the show that helps you and your business to thrive, not just survive. Tune in each week as Jane connects with guests in the wellness, business and publishing worlds, bringing you the most up-to-date training, techniques, healing and guidance for growth, mindset and motivation. Each session includes a magical guided meditation led by Jane or one of her special guests. Here's your host, Jane Scanlan. Hello and welcome to episode 27. And today we are interviewing Andrea Johnstone. So Andrea is a transpersonal therapist, which means she uses the holistic approach that focuses on the client's spiritual path as well as physical and mental well-being. She's been a therapist for over 25 years and has worked in many diverse settings. She's also got her own private practice down here in Bournemouth, but I'm assuming also online via Zoom?
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you, Jane. It's really lovely to be here. So thank you very much for inviting me to share my passion with you and how I can help people tune in to have, I think, for me, a better life for themselves. And really what I'm focusing a lot on now is self-compassion to ourselves. I feel it's really important that we kind of have that understanding, because being a therapist for 25 years, I see the link with all my clients, many of them, is there's no self-compassion for themselves. They help everybody under the sun, but they don't actually help themselves, and not even aware of their inner critic that just puts them down. So really, I'd like to sort of share a little bit about that and what you can do to help yourself, and let's just see where it flows.
Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this interview and allowing it to flow. Just as our work relationship has, we met each other on the Bournemouth beach, on one of my mindful meanders, and since then we have so much in common, don't we, with the things that we're interested in: mindfulness, compassion, love, meditation, and the holistic therapies, the holistic kind of path and journey. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, okay. I think I'll start at the beginning because I have a story to tell. I won't go into it too long, but basically, I'm called what you call a transracial adoptee, which means I was adopted as a mixed race baby into a white family. So my mum's French Canadian and my father, who I don't know, is Jamaican. But when I did my DNA, I actually come up more European, which is the Canadian part, because the Canadians went through Europe, and I'm actually more Somali and Sudan. So that was really interesting, actually. So I've struggled quite a lot in my life. Not now as an adult, but certainly when I was a child. I was brought up in a little town called Christchurch, which is, if you're familiar with that, and it was very much predominantly white, like it is now. And I had a lot of racism. And my parents didn't understand my ethnicity, and how that affected me. So I went really on a path of destruction: drugs, sex, alcohol, all that kind of stuff. And then I think I must have got to about an age of maybe about 23. where I just thought, you know what, this isn't cutting it. I'm really not happy. There has to be a different way.
Yeah.
And that's really when I went into the path, well, on my path of spirituality and looking at life differently. And yeah, I could say it's been life changing.
Mm.
It's been life changing. Mm, yeah.
And throughout that powerful personal journey of yours, and when I speak to many people in the holistic world, many therapists, um, our journey started before our career. Our healing journey led to our career. Is is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, being a therapist, we are called the wounded healers. And I think that there is a big reason for that is because, you know, I have, for me personally, I've been on a journey. And I think when you sit with a therapist, the things that people bring me, I've been through myself. So, I can have a real understanding and empathy. Um, you know, there can be textbooks therapists that you go on training and you learn, and that's all fine. But I think really it's that understanding of who's sitting with you, and you can understand that pain because you know that pain.
Mm,
So yeah, for me, definitely, and I do believe, our soul came in to do this journey. And some people get really angry about that and go, don't be so stupid, blah, blah, blah. But actually, that's my belief. If I hadn't had the upbringing that I had, I may not have been a therapist. I may have gone in a
mm.
completely different direction. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. But I do believe our souls did did choose the paths we're on. Sorry, there's a
Mm.
little bit of feedback.
Mm.
Second. Yeah, chose the paths that we're on, and everything that we've been through in our lives then is our learnt lessons. We're then able to help so many others, aren't we?
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yes,
tell
indeed.
me tell me a little bit more about your practice, your work over the last 25 years.
Okay, so I was really, really blessed to go to a private, I'd say university college called Sacred Space, and it was in Bournemouth, and it I graduated in 2003, and it was run by a shaman,
Wow, it
and
sounds
it
amazing.
it was incredible. I'm telling you, it was incredible, and I actually have goose pimples as I'm speaking about it now. I don't know if you've ever experienced when you've walked into a building and you just feel like you've come home. It
Mm,
was the most extraordinary thing, and the work up to it, how I think the universe things puts in place for you. I was looking to do therapy, train as a counselor, and every course that was coming at me, I was like, no, not that. It was too intellectual. It was too, it just wasn't. I just wasn't feeling it. And then I went to see a friend who's an iridologist who looks in your eyes, and then she said to me, "Oh, I'm training at this college. I think you'd really like it." So then I got an interview. Yeah, and it was just magical. It just came at the right time because the guy who was training, he was actually going to go and live in Canada. So it was his last intake of 3 years.
oh wow.
So yeah, so it was all meant to be because it doesn't exist anymore. And it was amazing. I mean, we did so much in that course. We did. I mean, it would be all, I mean, people do it now, but if you think about year 2000, we were doing trance dance, We were doing, drumming. We were doing a lot of things that were really quite new, well, new to Bournemouth, new to here anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was profound, and I met some beautiful souls. In fact, every day I never wanted to go home. It was like, oh no, because I
Magical.
found a tribe. It was the tribe, real when you've got the same passion and open hearts. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That sounds magical and a little bit like my experience at homeopathic college. And again, there was kind of many options there, but I chose the more spiritual, holistic college, and it was amazing. We did some of our tutors were shamans as well, so we did all sorts of magical practices throughout the 3-year course. And sadly, that college is no more. I think we were the last intake as well. But yeah,
Interesting.
those could you turn your volume down on your
Is it
laptop,
me?
just in case I can hear feedback and I'm not sure if it's being recorded. Thank you. Yes, it's just magical having those kinds of settings where you really can learn about energy and true energy medicine. I just
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah,
Can you tell me more about this transpersonal therapy and how
yeah.
this came about?
Okay, well, it's very much Jung and Maslow in the 1960s, recognized that, because that was our model we came from. So it's sort of recognizing, all our shadows that we hold, you know, and they're the things really that we don't like about ourselves. And it's sort of like bringing that forward, being aware of that and sort of shining a light on it and letting it sort of be in the light, because our shadows, we keep them always in the dark because we're ashamed of them. We don't want to show them. So it's work around that. And also Maslow hierarchy is about, your safety, your home needs to be safe and secure, because if that doesn't happen anytime in your life, then that will mold your neurons a different way, so that becomes trauma. So it's looking at all that, really. I mean, a lot of my work it always goes back to childhood, always, always, always. So I do a lot of inner child work, because that inner child within us, and we have many, are usually the wounded. And if
Mm,
we haven't looked and to heal that little child, which could be the girl or the boy, whatever you are, then that little child, the inner child, does the outer child behavior,
yeah.
you see. So it's really nurturing that inner child, so it's a bit like self-compassion for your inner child as well. So there's so many layers in us as humans, so many layers, and it's a spiral, because you kind of heal one, and then there's something else underneath that. So there's never an ending, never an ending,
No.
you know?
And I
Yeah.
feel that when you start a healing journey, as many of the people that are listening and many people that have been on the show as well have, you're right. It never stops, because there's always room for growth, and it's not a case of pushing yourself forward. It is a case of having that compassion with yourself for when stuff comes up. Either life throws stuff at us, or stuff comes up within relationships, no matter how new your relationship is, how old your relationship is, there will be testing moments. moments where maybe some old stories play out, and it's in those moments that you get that choice to have the compassion, hold the space. But sometimes that wounded inner child lashes out instead.
Mhm.
And throughout that's why I feel it's so important for people to continue the therapy, the self-development, the self-compassion throughout the rest of their lives. It's not just oh yeah, I'm just going to do a 6-month one-to-one counselling for myself. It doesn't stop there, does it?
No, no, it doesn't. And the more you become aware of all the shadows, how your inner child operates, then the more awareness you've got more choices of
Yeah.
what to do next. I do a lot of work also with the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, because I'm a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher as well. So I bring all those modalities into the room and just give people the experience, and I think it's really important for people. I don't know why my thing keeps going off. People to have these experiences so they can go, oh yeah, I felt that, or actually no, this isn't for me, you
Yeah.
know. So that's how I like to work with people, and I just want to sort of say a big thing. What I did in my life was, and this is interesting. I was in a very unhealthy relationship when I was 17. Well, it was domestic violence basically, and I got out of that. Um, and then that led me for working 10 years with women and children who were in abusive relationships.
Mm.
So that was a big, that was a big healing for me as well, in helping people heal as well. So that was 10 years. I used to do some work in the refuges. I used to work for a charity what did art, and that was a profound time in my life. I mean, that was, yeah, that, used to hold groups for women, run programs for women, and as we know, that's still very high. That still happens a lot, with women in
Yes.
unhealthy relationships. And it doesn't just happen to women, it happens to men as well, but majority are women.
Yeah. Yes. There was a huge increase over the recent years of the lockdowns, etc.,
Hmm.
wasn't there? Where
Yeah.
and probably cost of living crisis as well is causing a lot of stress and tension in many families out there. Um, what would be if someone's listening or watching, and they're in that kind of situation, what would be the advice that we could kind of give them?
Well, there's lots of helplines. There's Women's Aid, there's Bournemouth, well, there's the Refuge, and there's always people on the line because of, to help you through that. Because unfortunately, you don't want to be doing things really like taking off if you're not going to a safe place. You really need to sort of think about it, because there's lots of consequences if you do that, you know. So it's really to sort of reach out to your GP, to anyone that can, give you some advice, and record it. But the thing is, really, if you are in a unhealthy relationship, and when I'm saying an unhealthy relationship, I'm talking about when you are fearful of your life, and it doesn't
Mm.
matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter if you think, oh no, this isn't good enough, this isn't bad enough. If you are feeling fearful in any way, I would call the police, because
Mm.
everything has to be logged, and that's
Yeah.
really crucial that you get it logged, you know. Because usually an abuser, it's just not one time, it's going to be many times
Yeah.
that he's going to not be very nice, and may was also have a history. So to any women out there, if you are feeling unsafe, please, 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 phone the police, talk to a because they're much more trained than they used to be,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And after that period of working with women who've come out of abusive relationships and maybe still were in them, what did you do then? What kind of
Well,
areas
I
did you work
actually worked
in?
side by a lot. I was doing a lot, and this is interesting, right? Because this is why I do self-compassion, because I was an up-and-coming therapist, and then I did so much, too much, that actually I became very ill.
Aha.
So it catapulted me back. It's so interesting the journey that I've been on, because I did domestic violence, and then by the side of that, I worked at a charity called Listening Ear that used to go into all the schools in Dorset and work with young people. So I had that going. I had the domestic violence, which was very, very, when I'm working with abusive women, it's very, very intense.
Yes, I can imagine. Mm.
So actually, you need to give yourself really big space to actually have compassion for yourself, to kind of relax. But no, I was then working with this with another charity. Now, this is why I was doing all this. Was when I look back on it, my relationship had broken up, and I was trying to maintain single mum, 2 kids, house,
Mm.
all the usual, what a lot of us are in.
Yeah.
And then so on top of that, so two charities, my own private practice, and then on top of that, what happened, my mum and dad got cancer. And that was, I think that took me over the edge,
Yes.
because I have a nursing background, and my dad was nursed at home, bless his soul, and we had the palliative care nurses in, and then he died. Then 3 years later, my mum was diagnosed with cancer, and I nursed her until I couldn't do it anymore. And then she passed over, and then I was very, very sick. I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis,
Mm.
and
Yes.
that, and then that was, yeah, when I had to say, okay, enough. I can't go at this pace anymore. This is
Yeah.
crazy, you know.
And I was talking about the rhythm of the natural rhythm of people. And I am finding my rhythm is much slower than I maybe even allow, So back
Mm.
maybe 15, 20 years ago, it was go, 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 work hard, party hard, everything.
Mm.
100%, whereas now I feel like I like things being calm, I like things being slow, and back when I was work hard, play hard, I had a lot of illnesses. I
Mm.
had a lot of repeated, body, dysfunction happening. I had stress-related IBS, all manner of things, whereas now I'm slower, I'm more mindful of what my pace is, um, and then I don't have those, um, illnesses and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I think, this is another thing. We're in a society that tells us to keep going. We call ourselves human beings, but actually we're human doings.
Yes.
Because, if you listen to the radio, the TV, which I don't listen to, by the way, I don't do any of that, because that,
Yeah.
to me, that's my self-compassion also, because it's just negativity. I
Yeah.
don't want to hear it. It's a vibration that I do not want to be around. So
Ditto.
I live in my own bubble, but I just work and not work, sorry. I'm with people in my social arena who are in my same kind of field,
The
you
same
know.
energy, the same
Yeah,
vibrations. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's days of mine where I'm not feeling great. I get that. And I don't positively think myself out of it because I don't believe that either.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of sit with myself. And if I'm sad, if I'm tired, I listen. I listen, and then I will come into self-compassion. What do I need? And like we having that conversation today, Jane, wasn't it? If you were tired at the weekend, what do you need? Do you know what? You needed to lie on the sofa.
Yeah.
I I've got a hammock in my garden, and that's been my godsend. I mean, I just sit in my hammock, and it kind of is like a baby rocking, like baby being rocked.
Yes.
And I just allow myself to be in there, because what happens, and this is such crucial to think about, the mind will always tell you to do something, or
Mm.
there's fear of missing out. There's
There's a lot of that about, isn't there? The FOMO
yeah,
everyone talks about.
yeah,
I did used to get that, especially when I used to I still drank, so I'd feel like I was missing out on a night out after, being a single parent and that kind of thing. But since I gave up alcohol, over 7 years now, the FOMO just isn't there. I'm quite happy. I still go out and
yeah,
enjoy myself, but I don't get that, the fear of missing out on all these nights out that I see other people going on. I'm quite happy in my own life of meeting people maybe during the day instead, Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the if you think about us human beings, a lot of us, I'm not generalizing everyone, but a lot of my clients who come to see me, and like, I've seen a lot of clients over those years, it's the fear of being alone. So
Yes.
when you have a fear of being alone, you go outside yourself
Yeah.
to actually distract yourself. So you actually never get the time to sit with yourself and actually hear the inner whispers. Okay, what's going on? Because, the shaman says, when we were taught, you're never alone. You always have Mother Earth and Father Sky.
Yeah.
And actually, how wonderful it is now. I'm looking out the window now. The
Got
sun is
beautiful blue
shining
sky right
on the,
now.
you know, and actually, so we're never alone. That's a concept of the mind again. um so really, when you kind of get to understand that, and it's okay being on your own, actually you need to come in to recharge. If you keep going out, you're depleting. That's what you're
Mm,
doing all the time.
yeah.
So
And also
that's
being
another part
around
of
that many
self-compassion.
people, your energies are really
Mm.
you're mixing energy with everybody else that's in that room, which is why I'm also picky now with where I hang out and who I hang out with. I used to love going to all sorts of different music gigs and raves, and I went to one a couple of years ago, and it was me and my best friend. We used to love breakbeat and drum and bass and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be around these people. These people are angry and aggressive. And I was like, oh
Mm.
God, no, I'm never going to listen to this kind of music again, like in a live venue, because the energy of everybody else is so powerful, and especially if you don't know, you still take it on board. You still take that energy home with you.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. You know, but you've got to be willing to live your life a different way. I think that's what it
Mm.
is as well, because if we keep doing the same things that we keep doing, that when we're not happy, we're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
So being self-compassionate, once again, is just observing your mind, observing the inner critic, because we're not our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. Our thoughts just come in randomly, 70,000 a day. And if we just observe them, but we don't hook into them, attach to them, so they're like clouds, they come in and they go, as soon as we hook in to one of those thoughts that's telling us we're rubbish or whatever the inner critic's doing, it takes 8 seconds and we're down the rabbit hole. We're down into that negative spiral. So it's really about, what in the morning, it's what do you do in the morning for self-compassion? Gratitude's a great way to start, isn't it, your day? Because we are so lucky to have what we have. And I'm not saying people don't go through bad things, because obviously they do, but if you could just find some gratitude, and really you need to keep that vibration up for 60 seconds.
Yes.
60 seconds of gratitude, you're on a winner, of that. And then it's like looking at how you speak to yourself, and what are you doing for yourself also within the day to show yourself loving compassion? What I mean, if I asked you, Jane, what do you do on a daily basis that shows loving compassion to yourself?
Yeah. So for me, it changes every day. So when I first started putting kind of routines, well-being routines into my life, it was quite fixed and it was quite rigid. So it was like, you've got to listen to motivational, you've got to do this, all in the first hour or whatever. And then I figured, actually, this doesn't quite work for me. I need more flow and more flexibility in it, because when I was setting myself a bar of 100%, if I didn't make that, it was then almost like self-flagellation. Oh, you failed at this, kind of inner critic talk. So what I do now is the first hour of my day is very peaceful and very pottering. I do not get up and rush. I wake up generally with the sun, and I say hello to my lovely little animals. I give my little cat some love. I go downstairs, give the dog some love, throw the ball, and I make myself something to drink, something nice and hot, and I make them their breakfast. And then I just sit, and I love that silence and that slowness, that slow pace, that hour of me time. That I've got no alarm, I'm not rushing. And then when it's time for my daughter to get up and for me to do those things, I've already filled up my own cup first. So that's always how I start my day. And as you know, I might go off for a dip in the sea and a little walk along the beach, and a bit of connection and socialization with some gorgeous souls. And I do that about 3 times a week. Silence plays a massive part in my life and in my self-care. And what was the other thing? Alone time. As I said, like this weekend, I realized I'd over peopled and I was exhausted. So for me, building in alone time that I can do whatever. I can go to the beach, I could go to the park, I can sit on the sofa, I can sit in the garden, whatever it is, but I'm not mum. I'm not girlfriend. I'm not friend. I'm just me in that alone time to do whatever I want to do. And yeah, that is super important for my week, my mental health, my physical well-being as well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds really, really healthy. Because it is crucial that we give ourselves the time. One of the excuses that I hear time and time again is I haven't got time. And
Mm.
I say to people, well, that's interesting, isn't it? You are awake 8 hours of the day and you haven't got time for yourself. And one of the things I will say to, in self-compassion, and it's to the viewers who listen to this, is what would you say to your best friend?
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't tell your best friend if she's eaten a bar of chocolate and berate her for it, would you? You would kind of go, it's okay, you can start again tomorrow. If you were on a diet and then as we get, when we get stressed, we're one of our things that we'd go for is the sugar and the chocolate bar. And then we have the inner critic that comes in and crucifies us
Mm-hmm.
about eating that chocolate. But we will do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But if our best friend said to us, hey, I've been on this diet and I had a bar of chocolate, we'd go, oh, that's okay.
Okay.
What about
Yeah.
it? But we don't do it. So it's really noticing how you talk to yourself and treating yourself like your best friend, you
Mm.
know, because there's three components to self-compassion, and that's loving kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. And we're all the same. So, even though I'm a therapist, I still have my inner critic,
Yes.
but I'm aware of her now. I go, here she is. Thank you very much. I hear you. And I have a little dialogue with her. I don't take her words on anymore and go, oh God, I'm crap. Oh, bloody
Yeah.
hell. Nobody likes me. Oh, I'm rubbish. No, 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 no. I catch it and I go, okay, you know, and that's important. But also you just reminded me, because you just hugged yourself. One of the things that, which is really important for us as well, is when we're having a hard time, we've got that inner critic on our shoulder. The one of the good things that you can do for yourself and is you can give yourself a hug.
Mm.
And when I say giving yourself a hug, we give ourselves a hug, two reasons. One, because it's a container. We put ourselves in a container,
Yeah.
because when we're got the inner critic, we most probably also have gone into the um, sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress system. And when we're stressed, our energy just goes chung chung and it's out. It goes all out. So
Mm.
what we need to remember is to bring it in, like you give yourself a hug. And also when you're hugging yourself, if you rub your arms up and down, because what that does, if you think about it, it's very rarely that your arms kind of get a massage. And what this does, it does so many different things. It gives you oxytocin, which is really the loving, good
Mm.
feel factor. And you're a container, and you actually makes you feel safe.
Yes.
That's why hugging yourself is really good. And you can even go massaging into your shoulders. It's a very, very simple thing to do. So if any time that you're really harsh on yourself, or your mind is telling you all these things, you can just give yourself a little, and stroke your arms and just sort of calm your nervous system down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. We often do that on the beach after a meditation. Give ourselves
Mm,
a
mm,
hug, a little squeeze, and it really does get you back into your body, doesn't it?
mm,
Um, and I know that you can feel when people are stressed, when their energy, it goes, like you say, it goes out. It can be really
mm,
spiky, and you
mm.
can really Yeah, you can really feel that. So if
So if
we're
we're
in work together,
working
Andrea,
together,
what would it look like? How would I get in contact with you? And yeah, what would the kind of client flow be?
oh, okay. Well, to get in contact with me, you go through my email. Do you want me to say my email?
Yeah, go for it. And it will be
Oh,
above or below.
yeah, my email. Do you want me to write it in, or what do I
No,
do?
no, if you just say it, and then when these are all, when everything's live, it'll.
Yeah. Okay, it's Andrea Johnston, Johnstone 63@gmail.com, or my Facebook page, which is Andrea Johnston, because what I do is, and if you wanted to come to me for any therapy, then I'm on as Andrea Johnston on Psychology Today and Counselling Directory. I am a member of the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapists, BACP. And also within my work, I do workshops, self-compassion workshops, which are I must say so myself, are really lovely, and give you more tools, and we do mindful walk, and it's just really lovely just to be connected with other women who may not know how to be self-compassionate with themselves, because it's a learning. It really is a learning. It doesn't come easy. You
Mm,
have to learn this process because we're not born with it. you know if we look at our childhood, going back to the childhood again, you know many of us had very critical parents, and so we've taken all that on, because a lot of the stuff that we carry actually isn't ours.
mm,
Is actually generational trauma, or stuff that our parents have said, because words are very, very powerful. If someone says something to you when you were younger, you still could carry that belief system with you,
yeah.
and then that would have a knock-on effect of how self-compassion you would be or not, and most probably you wouldn't be
Mm,
self-compassionate. So it's about learning these techniques and practicing. It's practice, practice, practice.
yeah.
So I'd like to do a meditation. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I'd love you to. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to, you can experience this and just see how you feel. So what I do is I invite you to close your eyes down with your feet grounded on the floor. We always need to have our feet on the floor to ground. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to take a gentle breath through the nose and a slow breath out the mouth. And we're going to do that in your own time. So you do a gentle breath up through the nose, breathing in, and slow breath out through the mouth. And you just start to become aware of how your body is. You're just going to observe it. You don't judge it. You just notice what's going on in the body. So just observe that body of yours. And then we just move up into the head and we just observe our thoughts. Remember, you're not your thoughts. They come in randomly, 70,000 of them. We just observe them. And we just notice if the jaw is locked. We want the jaw quite loose and the tongue just to be relaxed in the mouth. Because if we're holding the jaw, we're holding tension. We want the jaw to be relaxed. So just notice that, just witness that. How's your jaw? And we're just breathing, and make sure we're breathing down into the belly. We're not holding anything tight here. Just being in this present moment. Now, I'd just like you to place your hand up just into the center of your chest. And you can do this by coming underneath your armpit, going into the middle of your chest. And you just place your hand there. And this is what we call is the spiritual heart. It's just above the physical heart. And the spiritual heart is always a place that's calm. Whatever's going on for you outside, or inside, this place is always calm. So I just invite you to place your hand here and just feel the breath underneath the hand. And let's just stay here for a few seconds. Just breathing in and breathing out. Feeling the body more relaxing. Now, I'd like you to visualize yourself. What you're going to do, you're going to shrink yourself tiny, tiny, tiny. And you're going to place yourself inside your spiritual heart. So just place yourself inside your heart, spiritual heart. It can look whatever you like it to be. But within yourself, in your spiritual heart, and you're sitting inside, you're bringing yourself a beautiful blanket of self-compassion. Now, this blanket can be any texture you like, as long as it's warm and cozy. So I want you to think of the texture of the blanket, the softness. So just visualize that. I want you to think of a color of your compassionate blanket. And does the blanket have a smell? I want you to visualize, what does it smell like? Now remember, this blanket is a blanket of self-compassion for yourself. And when you have the color of the blanket, the texture of the blanket, the smell of the blanket, I want you to visualize yourself wrapping it around yourself. So you're all cuddled up with this beautiful blanket of self-compassion inside your spiritual heart that's also giving you love, sending you lots of love. And you're just sitting there here, this beautiful blanket on yourself, just breathing, being in the present moment, nothing to do, but just sitting here. And I want you to know any time you can do this visualization. So if there's any time that you're having a hard time with yourself, your inner critic is on your shoulder and is beating you up, I'd like you to remember this visualization where you shrink yourself into your spiritual heart and you wrap this beautiful blanket of self-compassion around yourself. And just take on how that feels for you. What's that like? Just knowing you can do it any time, any part of the day, Very, very simple, doesn't take long. And then I invite you just to take your hand down if you haven't already. And then what we're going to do in your own time, you just slowly open your eyes and come back into the space wherever you are.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful meditation.
Mm. And yeah, how was that?
Loved it. It was beautiful. And the kind of this, I always love when I'm doing meditations or leading meditations to bring in a bit of that mindfulness about the different senses. I think that really kind of locks in the power of the healing. And for me, the smells on this beautiful blanket were things like it was very Christmassy, like orange, a clove and cinnamon, and I'm thinking, oh yes, I've got a really nice blend of essential oils that is kind of that smell. So perhaps if I need that time for self-compassion, or perhaps if I've got a difficult conversation, that if I use that essential oil, it will just remind me that I've got that beautiful blanket of self-compassion on, and help me kind of go about my day. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're really, really welcome. So if anybody wants to get hold of me, you've got my email address or my Facebook page. And yeah, so really that's a bit about me.
I love it. I love it. So just remind everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Okay, so you can get hold of me by my email, which is andreajohnston63@gmail.com, or you can contact me through Facebook, which is Andrea Johnston. Or you actually can get me on Instagram as well. I have an Instagram page which is called Panjo48, which is yeah, that was my nickname when I was a teenager. But so that's, and if I wanted to, when I'm doing future workshops, how would I get hold of um I guess, yeah, I don't know how I'd get that out. Well, I'd actually,
So
yes, I'd put it on my Facebook.
when you do your workshops, where do you advertise? Because if they connect with you there, then they'll see those future workshops.
Yeah,
Is it mainly on Facebook?
yeah, it is mainly on Facebook or Instagram that I do. But so if anyone wants to sort of just befriend me, they just ping me a message, and
Yeah,
then obviously when I've got some workshops coming up, which I will have before Christmas,
yeah.
I just need to get my finger out.
Mhm.
Um, then yes, they'd be more than welcome to come along. More the merrier. I mean, I just feel, if people can take this on, that they self-compassion and learn it and practice it every day, life does become much easier. It really does.
It really does. Um,
Mm,
you create a whole new level of intimacy with yourself, but also
yeah.
with others. And I've definitely found just throughout this journey within myself, within my family, and also my work, is that the more love you bring to a situation, the more compassion, and forgiveness, the easier and the better life becomes.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a saying as well, you know, you are the one you're waiting for.
Mm,
We all think it's other people we're waiting for, the white knight in shining armor and things like that. But no, actually it's you're waiting for.
yeah,
Because in life we've kind of forgotten. And it's about remembering again, you know.
yeah, definitely. And on that note, we're going to
Mm.
say goodbye. This has been an amazing 27th episode. Thank you so much for joining me on Stay Sane with Jane and for the beautiful self-compassion meditation. And we look forward to sharing this and for lots and lots of people to get in touch with you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you so much from my heart. Thank you for letting me share my experiences.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Andrea. I really, really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.